Are you thinking about planting your own canna lily bulbs, but you're not quite sure how to do it?
Well, lucky for you, because today we're going to help you plant your canna lily bulbs step by step.
Hi, we're Sean and Allison from Spoken Garden, and we're partnering with Eden Brothers to help you in your garden. But before we get to that, did you know canna lilies are not actually a true lily? They're more closely related to ginger or bananas.
Yeah, and they like to be grown in sunny locations in your garden with well-draining, nutrient-rich soil, and they like to have consistent water. So before we show you how to plant the canna lily bulbs, there's some fun information we think you need to know. First off, canna lily bulbs are actually native to the United States, which is really fun because they look so tropical. They're known for both their flowers and their foliage, and they're perennials that are hardy in zones 8 through 11. Now they have an upright clumping form of growth, and they grow really similarly to irises. That means they actually grow from a rhizome underneath the ground. And canna lilies are really fun to have out in your garden because their foliage comes in either solid green, or it can be in different variations of yellow, white, and green. So today we're going to show you how to plant the canna lily Stuttgart, and it's a fast-growing perennial with vibrant striped foliage, and it has yellow and orange flowers, and it'll grow up to 60 inches tall. Now the colorful foliage will last all through the summer and into the fall months, and the flowers will start in mid to late summer. Stuttgart is easy to grow and maintain and has average water needs. It's great for container gardens or as a mid-level flowering plant. It's also a pollinator attractor for bees, butterflies, and hummingbirds. It's deer and rabbit resistant and drought tolerant. Now it is susceptible to many mosaic and vegetable viruses and root rots, mainly due to overwatering. Also watch out for grasshoppers, spider mites, aphids, and caterpillars.
When you're ready to plant your canna lily bulbs, you actually have two options. You can plant them indoors or outdoors. If you want to plant outdoors just directly in the soil, you need to make sure that the soil is warm enough and that the threat of frost has passed in your area. Keep in mind though, if you do plant them directly outside, just that they might have a little bit slower growth and be a little later to bloom. If you live in a northern climate, you could start your canna lilies indoors, and anytime up to 6 weeks before your last frost date. Start your bulbs in pots with good, rich potting soil in a warm, sunny area, and keep the soil moist, not too wet or too dry, but just moist.
When your canna lilies first arrive, you want to make sure you get them out of their shipping box and then take them out of their plastic pouch here and inspect them, squeeze them, make sure they're okay and there's no damage to them from shipping. Now before we plant these, we need to know which end is up and which end is down. Canna lilies are a type of bulb called a rhizome, and that means they're an underground horizontal stem. You can tell which end is up and which end is down on a rhizome by determining where the majority of those roots are on that horizontal stem. This rhizome I have here in my hand, you can see a majority of the roots are along this plane, this horizontal stem right here on this canna lily. So we're going to plant this horizontally in the soil, underneath the soil level, and we're going to orient it just like this. The growing point will either be from this area or it'll be one of these nodules that are actually starting to sprout. When you plant your canna lilies, you'll want to space them 1 to 2 feet apart and 2 inches below the soil surface from the very top of the bulbs. You're also going to need to make sure that the soil is loosened up 4 to 6 inches deep so the canna lilies will have a lot of loose, nice soil to grow into.
All right, let's plant some canna lily bulbs. The first step is to space your bulbs around your container or on your ground planting area to kind of figure out where you want them and to get them properly spaced. Remember, they need to be spaced 1 to 2 feet apart. Looks like we're okay to put 2 bulbs in this container. The next step is to take a hori-hori knife or some kind of digging tool and go ahead and dig your planting holes. Dig the holes larger than you need to make space for the bulbs to grow into. Our depth is 2 inches below the soil surface. So once we have that, we're going to correctly place and orient our bulb and backfill very carefully and lightly. Carefully, lightly tamp down the soil around each planting hole. Lightly water after you've planted them to help with rooting and to trigger growth. And that's how you plant your canna lily bulbs.
After planting, you want to make sure you keep an eye on the nighttime temperatures, because if the temperatures go below 60 degrees, there's a good chance, if your bulbs have been watered in, that they can rot. So if the nighttime temperature is going below 60 degrees, make sure to bring in your newly planted bulbs, especially in a container, inside and keep them protected overnight until your temperatures at night reach above 60 degrees. So from this point, make sure to watch for any new growth popping through the soil surface, and then you'll know to start your consistent watering from that point forward. You don't want to overwater your canna lilies at any point during the summer months, because what'll happen is if you overwater them and the soil gets boggy or too moist, it can really lead to a lot of rot. So make sure don't overwater your plants. Keep an eye on that. It's a great idea right now too to get some mulch on top of the soil or wherever you've planted your canna lily bulbs, so it'll help insulate their roots and keep more moisture in the soil longer, so when those plants need that water, it's readily available. Make sure to keep up your weeding, which also the mulch helps with. Make sure to watch out for any pests or diseases like spider mites, aphids, or grasshoppers, or any of the mosaic viruses you might see on the leaves. If you do see any type of leaf fungal or bacterial growth, make sure to cut that off, and then make sure to cut back on your watering. Don't water as much. Also, make sure to remove any dead or damaged leaves, and at this point it's great to get your canna lilies on a fertilizer program, so you can use a general purpose time release fertilizer, or you can water once a month if they're outdoors, and maybe once every week or two if they're indoors. Now, if you're growing your canna lilies in containers like we are, or if you're growing them in a zone below zone 8, make sure to dig them up and store them before any consistent frost set in the fall. Now, if you're growing your canna lilies in the ground and you're growing them in a zone at 8 or above zone 8, you can definitely just leave them in the ground, cover them with 2 to 4 inches of mulch, and they'll be well insulated over the winter months. If you do dig up your canna lily bulbs and want to store them over the winter, make sure to clean off all the soil and any dead tissue, including leaves and stems, and you can even wash them off, let them dry, and then store them in a cool, dry, dark place with possibly some either sawdust or even crumpled up newspaper around them, so they have some insulation wherever you store them at. If you do end up keeping your bulbs in containers, but they're not hardy in your area, you can always bring those containers indoors before the first frost sets in, and try to grow those bulbs indoors until next spring. Now, if you need more bulb or flower growing or planting tips, you can always go to EdenBrothers.com and check out their planting guides.
And we hope this video was really helpful for you in planting your own canna lily bulbs. And from us at Spoken Garden and Eden Brothers, thank you for watching.